Okay, so YouTube is being a pain in terms of me uploading my last video, so I don't know if it's actually going to be uploaded. I don't know if this one's going to be uploaded, but nonetheless, we're going to try anyway. So, in my last video, what I tried to cover was Laphroaig Select. Tried to explain kind of... it's one of my less favorite purchases in the single malt Scotch world, and I just wanted to compare my previous assumptions to it to how I feel about it now, because I don't drink it frequently. The other whiskey I wanted to do that with today was this one, Glendronach Peated. So, non-age statement, 46%. Other information, sparse. Lots of BS on the back, like the appearance. I really love this. The appearance is vivid harvest gold. Yeah, bite me. Aged in bourbon casks, followed by second period of maturation. I wasn't sure if they were going to call it a finishing or something else. A second period. So extremely vague in terms of what that period is, but both Oloroso and PX sherry casks. Here she is. So, my experience with this whiskey... Well, let me back up. First, I wanted to talk about the Laphroaig. So in the last video I did, it dawned on me after I finished the video. I talked about the video, I kind of gave it like an informal rating, but I never added water to it. And I just wanted to disclose that it does open up a little bit with water. It adds some nice caramel flavor, some nice sweetness to it that balances out the peat and kind of does a little more for it. It's not too much more terribly compelling, but I didn't want to go without mentioning it because I thought, boy, it's not very professional. Anyway, now on to the Glendronach. The Glendronach is Glendronach is a distillery that I'm a big fan of, which is ironic because a lot of their whiskeys I think are underwhelming. Of the range of their 12, 15, 18, and 21 year, the only one I've ever been that excited about is the 15. The 18 and 21 year are horribly overpriced, and I think the quality you get for them is not even speak worthy. But if you start getting into their single cask range of whiskeys, you can get great deals. They're all bottled at well, I don't know about all, but the ones that I've gotten are bottled at cask strength. And the complexity, the balance, everything you get out of them is phenomenal. And I really think, and their distillery bottlings, and I think that's where Glendronach shines, honestly. I mean, the 15's phenomenal, but it's expensive. But if you get into those single cask bottlings, whew, they're really good. Anyway, and that's not to say the 12's not bad either. It's just, to me, it's like if an Aberlour or a Macallan or a Glendronach, well, okay, it's not anything compelling to me. It doesn't scream uniqueness. So what I was hopeful for when I got this whiskey is that they would do a good job of taking that Glendronach minerally sherry flavor and really adding that extra layer of peat, but not letting the peat screw it up, not letting the peat dominate it by any means. What I got was what felt like one of the most one-dimensional whiskeys that I've ever gotten, where the peat was like flat and very underwhelming. It didn't really have any unique characteristics, and its prominence was not as much of a benefit as a detriment. And the sherry wasn't really all that noticeable, but that again was one-dimensional, and that nice barley flavor wasn't there, and just everything dropped off immediately, and it was all very underwhelming. That's what I remember out of this whiskey. Now we're going to see if my memory serves well. Well, the nose, and I don't know if this is contradictory or not, but the nose seems actually relatively balanced and complex. Right off the bat, you've got that nice sherry note in there. You've got a little bit of the peaked smoke, although it's not too significant. It has kind of an ashiness to it, honestly. It's not like charred wood. It's more like twice burnt over wood. It's strong. It smells strong. And not like a balanced, like, I don't know. It's a weird kind of thing. It does. I mean, it's like burnt earth. It's very interesting, but not in a terribly good way in terms of the peat flavor. And that smell particularly. I mean, there is a barley in there, but it's underpresent compared to what the rest of it has to offer. So we're going to give this a try. I'm not going to spend too much time doing tasting notes, because the purpose of this is more just to kind of relive the experience and document it. It's not to do a full-fledged review, because I think there's enough of those online, honestly. I don't think people want to stick around for 20 minutes of me sitting there reciting all the different adjectives and nouns I know. Just my thought on that. But it opens up a little bit. I mean, this is an old bottle too, so. Very different experiences from front to back. The front kind of gives you a lot of promise and hope. It's like the sherry's in there, the peat's in there. Peat still has this kind of ashy characteristic. I don't know what they did, but unlike a lot of other peats, even this Lafroig, which is kind of a good benchmark, you still get that very characteristic round peated flavor where you get the smokiness and you get some of that earthiness in it. This is just dry, like burnt fall leaves. It just seems so dead. And it's fairly unenjoyable, and it's anticlimactic. But the arrival still kind of presents all these different ideas. A little bit of barley, a little bit of that peat, and you're going to have to forgive the dog. She's going to do that. And a little bit of that sherry, and it's kind of nice and balanced. What it leaves you with is something very different. It's kind of like overused spices and whatever. I mean, the peats, I've hammered on that, and the sherry dissipates. It's gone. It feels superficial, to say it in a different way. Yeah, that arrival to body transition is really interesting, but the bitterness, maybe it's more of the oak casks than anything. Maybe the casks are so spent, you're just getting the remnants of their decrepit corpses in your mouth. That's kind of what it tastes like to me. And this sounds very harsh, but I promise you, I am more on the side of enjoying more single malts than not. There's not a whole lot of single malts that I sit down and go, no. Yeah, I can probably count them on one hand. Without water, this whiskey is very much like I remember it, but that deadness of taste in there. And there is a little bit of spice, but in that character, that dynamic, just kind of like, it's the plane that starts taking off and just it just crashes, you know. Just doesn't get off the ground, which is really frustrating because Glendronach has so much potential, but I kind of feel like that potential comes in large part from good selection of barrels because, like I said, the single cask range is really phenomenal, and this is really not. Why? Why could that be? I don't know. Okay, add a little water. You haven't beaten away that dead flavor, but you've pulled out more flavor from the sherry, and it's interesting. It's a little enjoyable. It gives it a roundness. There are some complexities there, some fruitiness that you weren't getting before. It breathes new life into the barley. All that said and done, you know what else though? Adding water almost brings some of the imperfections of the distillate out in a very profound way. And it's not good. I have tried so many times to justify this whiskey's existence. And every time I feel like I come short. And this time is no different. They can do better. And I don't know if they just need to stick to the older... You know, I had a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old single cask sherried. They might have both been Pedro Jimenez casks. But they were so good. And the 15-year revival is so good. And I'm thinking about this whiskey and going, what about this isn't working? And I can't put my finger on it, but this is not a whiskey I want to drink on a regular basis. I mean, there are some new flavors coming out as it opens up a little bit, and it is deadening a little bit of that bitterness and the dryness and the deadness, but it's still present in the actual distillate itself. In this case, in this whiskey, and I'm not saying this is Glendronach in general, but this whiskey just doesn't feel like it's done well. I don't know. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but I just genuinely look at this whiskey and go, I'm not into it. So last time I said this could be, you know, what did I say, 7.5, 7.75. This is 6.5 for me. You know, for the price of this whiskey, I could get a Kilhoman, which actually takes like the tobacco smokiness and makes something great out of it. I could get a Kealila, which takes the balance of, you know, that fruitiness. And I mean, the number of whiskeys I could buy that do a better job than this does of incorporating peat into them is endless. So, no. And the question that keeps resonating in my head is why Glendronach did you think that this measured up? I don't know. Starts getting medicinal as you start talking about it more and complaining and criticizing it more. It starts tasting a little medicinal at the end there. has potential, but it's not using that potential, and I really think the casks are worn out. So I'm sticking with my judgment on this one. Not a good whiskey. Sorry, Glendronach. Better luck next time.